Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to It's Something to Do with Pete and Will. We promise it's something to do. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to It's Something to Do. We promise this is something to do. Today, again, Will is on paternity leave, and I've got a wonderful friend of mine that I can sit and have a conversation with. His name is Eric Thompson, and he is many things, and one of which is a puppeteer, but and to be honest with you, that the stuff that he has done in that department is just so spectacular, and so I'm really happy to have him on to discuss that. But then also he's worked very extensively in Hollywood and had a lot to do with major movies and things in order to market and bring all of the projects that he's worked on to life. And again, he's an amazing puppeteer. Eric, welcome.
Hey, great to be here.
I really do appreciate you coming on. It's a wonderful thing. You know, it was interesting. I had and it's funny. You put all these things in order to make sure that your calendar stays where it should be and times and all those kinds of things. And then one time you're like, oh shit.
You get that text that says, are we doing this? Is this happening?
Oh shit.
And of course I think it's me. And I'm like, did I screw this up?
No, you did not at all. Every one of my fail safes failed. So
I guess we've
let
the
you so
cat out of
much.
the bag that this isn't live then, because otherwise show would not be airing on scheduled time.
Well, that's funny because Will and I have that joke. He would constantly he'll say, "Oh, so Thursday." I'm like, "Well, just pretend it's Tuesday. It comes out on 10 o'clock on Tuesday mornings." He's like, "Yeah, that's how we're doing it."
We can't talk about Halloween, right? Because that was so last month.
Yeah. What are you doing, dude? Come on.
Halloween was so last weekend.
Exactly. Well, it's funny. It's funny that you bring that up. What's been the bane of my existence is the fact that the kids they went to like Target and purchased all this candy well ahead of time. And like, Dad, don't eat the candy. I ate the candy.
Yeah.
Not all of it. There's about 6 pieces left, but we get hundreds of trick or treaters. So obviously last year with the pandemic and things like that, it was certainly quelled. But I have thousands of dollars of costumes, and so I put out these costumes, and I'll put some on depending on the my thought during the day. Because one of them's 10 feet tall, the other one's 7 feet tall, like these big things. So last year, what did I do? I think I just stuffed them all with newspaper and had them sitting in chairs.
Nice.
Nice. This is, you got something to look at. Don't come in my yard.
My memories of Halloween, living in West Hollywood was, that I was a block away from the boulevard. So, that huge festival, right? Hundreds of thousands of people, just madness, right? And then I recently, moved up here to Seattle, and I walked through a mall to get to the office, and oh my gosh, Halloween, hundreds and hundreds of little kids out, in their costumes and stuff in the mall. And it reminded me of the West Hollywood Carnival.
Yeah,
except
you did a big thing.
Oh yeah. Well, because it's sort of like that. With a good location comes great responsibility. I was the go-to place because I was right next to the boulevard.
Yeah.
And so I'm seeing all these kids in their costumes going around, and I was like, what is with all these kids? What it's Halloween for kids? What?
Hey, you shitty kids are ruining this.
Yeah, for me, it was always such an adult affair. Yeah, so fun to see that the little kids do it too. Who knew?
So as I mentioned in the introduction to you being a part of this massive hit show, you're a puppeteer, and so you actually the shows that you put on were legendary. And the effort that you put into each one of them, and each one of the puppets that you have, like you're the detail that you put into each one. I mean, it's Jim Henson type detail into your puppets, and they're just beautiful. And then the shows that you put on are just spectacular, and you put so much effort into it, and you never skipped a beat with that, which was very, very inspiring. It was very cool. Is there something? Do you have a puppet around?
Sure. Yes.
I don't mean to ask it like that, but because I've got Animal around here somewhere, but I am nowhere near you.
Yeah, I thought, should I start maybe with a little bit of like where it all started from? And
I'd really appreciate that.
Or do we just want to go straight to the?
No, I want, because, well, that's actually, no,
we
that's
don't want to hear your story, blah, 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 and I was doing these puppets.
Exactly. It's like you have a comedian on, you're like, tell jokes.
Can we just cut to the chase? We're just here for the puppets.
We've got 12 minutes for this fucking thing. But
we really don't want to look at you.
No, no, that's what they feel about me. They want me to be a puppet. So if you could do me a favor, just make me a puppet so that I don't have to do it. I can just get by. No, please, exactly. So the inception of it for you had to have started pretty early in life, where something probably.
Yeah, for me it was okay. So my I was an Air Force kid. My dad was in the Air Force, and so in my younger years, we were stationed in England, and we had one television station, basically BBC was pretty much it. And because there was an independent one, ITV, but ITV was on strike for like, and the British love to strike, so they were on strike for a year. So very little television when I was growing up. And the big thing was then when ITV went off strike, they came on the air and everyone was ready for the channel. And the first show that aired on ITV when they came off a strike after a year was The Muppet Show. And that just right there, that was it. And I loved the Muppets.
You're like, that's where I'm going.
And and for me, the puppets, it's just sort of, I've always thought of it as being a means to escape. And, and so growing up when you're an American in England and, you're kind of a fish out of water or whatever, the Muppets were such a crazy, wacky kind of thing. And I could relate. And then when we left England and I went to Austin, Texas, and all of a sudden I was the Brit in Texas, again, it was tough. And so I would sort of escape and I would go into my little world of puppets with my little puppet friends in my little puppet world. And so that's really where it came from. And so then when I started into high school, I was making little movies with puppets, with the VHS cameras back in the day.
But you were building them.
Yeah. Well, because at the time, there just weren't puppet manufacturers, and if you wanted a puppet, you had to make it.
Yeah, but even now, it seems like it's very difficult to purchase something like all the Sesame Street and all those kind of things. It's very difficult to purchase
Yeah, except now we have the internet, which helps a lot. But
well, yeah, I mean, if you want to spend less than $2,000, it's hard to purchase things. Like, wait a minute, I've got kids, so I just wanted to. No, oh fuck.
Yeah, there are some great companies though that I would recommend. One of them is Folk Manus, and they do really incredible puppets. And in fact, I'll show off some of the manufactured ones that you can buy. This is a little jester puppet.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, here, shameless plug. There you go. Look at that. Folk Manus puppets. This is your jester. And what I really love about this little character is he's what they call a hand and glove puppet. So you can put hands in there. So
that's cool.
He can, he can play the piano. He can do everything. And and I like to use him here, and because I'm up here now in Seattle, and he is the little weatherman, and so he's the one who goes out into the storm and the rain and everything to give you the.
And it's like, guess what? It's raining.
Yes.
Okay. See you tomorrow.
And
I'm not even at the right location.
He's so good at what he does. He does of the minute weather. He doesn't predict the future. He just tells you. Yeah. He just tells you what's going on right now.
Hand outside.
This is it. This is what's happening. And then there's another company called Silly Puppets, and they do a really nice job with people puppets. And this was a nun puppet, and then I made some little additions to it, and I gave her an outfit, gave her a little gloved hand.
Love it.
And she is now the psychic, and so she will do tarot readings, and so she's a lot of fun. And so yeah, you can certainly purchase puppets, but yeah, back in the day that wasn't an option for me, and so my mom, was a mother of the 70s, so she was a whiz at the sewing machine. She was always making curtains, making little outfits for me, and my matching outfits for me.
Out of the curtains.
Yeah.
You're like, Mom.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm getting beat up at school. Jesus.
And so
that's like, Mommy, that's not.
Yeah.
This?
And so I asked her if she could show me, how to run the little sewing machine. And boy, once all she did was give me a quick little demonstration of how to do it. And then I was just off to the races and kind of learning as I went. And so some of my earlier ones were a little scary looking, but then they came along.
But that's kind of that's what's wonderful about any kind of art like that is you're going to have early aspects of it and early iterations that may have those things attached to it. And then as it develops and as you develop and as you become a different person, if you stick to it and you have that stick-to-itiveness, then they develop, which is so cool.
And it was really fun. So here, I'll show you, here's one of my favorite characters. This is this is a little alien puppet, and her name is Ima Nuttin, and and yes,
there's too many jokes for that.
Please don't laugh at my name. Now she is when we first discover her story, she's on this alien spaceship. She's the maid. She cleans up after everybody, and she has kind of poor self-esteem because of her name. I'm a Nuttin, so she's pretty much resigned herself to just being a nothing. Yes. And then another little alien finds out that her middle name is Freda. So her actual full name is I'm Freda Nuttin. And then once she realizes that her name is I'm afraid of nothing, wow, then all of a sudden she can do anything because she's afraid of nothing.
She's afraid of nothing.
And one of the things I'd like to point out here is that on the little eyes here, these are actually little Easter eggs, little plastic eggs. And I just, you pop the little egg open and I stitch the little guy on there and I put some little stickers on to give her little pupils. And all of a sudden she's got, some cute little Muppet-like eyes.
Well, but it comes to life because you bring it to life.
Why, thank you.
You know what I mean? But it's true. In any of these scenarios, the things that it's all you, obviously, but everybody suspends disbelief in order to get to know the character that you've created and that you're bringing to them and for them to enjoy. And it's a very interesting and very cool thing because
and it's yeah. And I'll tell you, one of the little strange things about it is that there are times when I will be interacting with a puppet and it's almost like improv. And I'm not an actor or anything, right? So I don't really know exactly how improv works. But there are times when I'll be interacting with a puppet and the puppet will say something and it's like I'm experiencing it for the first time and I'm reacting to this character.
That's
and then I have to remind myself that I'm actually reacting to myself. And it's really, but you almost, but it's a strange phenomenon when you're playing with a puppet. You almost becomes, it so becomes a separate thing in your brain that it's doing its own thing almost. And now I'm starting to sound creepy. But.
No, it's true though. I feel exactly the same way about, like, if I'm saying something comedically, it happens. I mean, like I'll say something that's comedic and I'll start to laugh.
And you make yourself laugh.
Yeah, and it's kind of gauche and you're like, well, I'm laughing at my own stuff. I'm like, well, I just thought of it. I didn't know. It's much of a surprise for me as it is for you. And so I'll sit there and I'll laugh. I'm like, well, that's really funny. Yeah. Oh, wait, I'm not supposed to react like that. This supposed to give this out like with confidence, but exactly. I don't know what's going to come out. It could be anything. So yeah, no, I think that's fantastic. Not only that, but being able to relinquish yourself to the character and then have a visceral response to something that creates the separation between you and your friend.
Yeah.
In this case, and so. It makes it more believable that this exists, and this is a separate thing from me. Meaning, I didn't know that was gonna happen. Like this
exactly.
None of this is scripted.
It wasn't me. It was the puppet. I didn't say that.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. It's like,
don't blame me.
It's like George Nato. One would say horrible things. And the other one was always apologizing.
Yeah.
Like, come on. What are you doing? You're saying horrible things.
Right. So anyway, so I was doing so I was basically just entertaining myself. Then, there's not a lot of venues necessarily for a young kid. You're just fascinated with puppets, but I started to get involved in my local church, and then there was like 4-H groups and Cub Scout groups and things like that. And so I would, in the community, kind of play around and stuff. But I would say that I think my only real, I would say, claim to fame when I was actually broadcast television was when I was in college. I got a job at the local Fox affiliate TV station in Austin, Texas, KBVO, Fox 42. And I'm in the promotions department, and we did a little program. I'll use an industry term that you'll know. And it was, oh gosh, I was going to use the industry term and now I blanked on it all of a sudden. Interstitials, the little bits that go in between commercial breaks, right? And so it was called Fox Kids Club, and the little clips were 30 seconds long, and it was Kelly was the Fox Kids host, and she would promote cartoons, but also they would have little themes like electrical safety or wear sunscreen, all these types of things. And I remember,
which by the way, is so fantastic.
Yes.
Hey, everybody, turn on your smoke detector. All right, see you later. What's that beeping? That beeping is your battery out. You're like, oh, son of a gun.
Yeah. So we were in we were in one of our planning meetings, and and I'm, a little gung ho, guy, and I said, hey, I have an idea. And I had a little presentation, that I put together. And I said, I think, what about we come up with a puppet sidekick for Kelly? And when she's on the air, the puppet can be along with her and everything. And as you might imagine, the kids club host was having nothing to do with it. And
he's like, this isn't in my notes. What are we talking about here?
Yes. What? Oh yeah.
Exactly. No. I mean, that's what they were saying.
Oh yeah. Right. That was moment for the insert laugh track here.
Exactly. Antoine, laugh track.
We need an audience. Yes. Yeah. So,
the audience. We have an audience.
The audience. The audience of one. Anyway, and so the host flat out said, I absolutely refuse to work with a puppet. I will not do it. And so right then and there in that meeting, all my hopes and dreams were dashed, and my whole little pitch was shelved, and and it was done. Well,
I got you back.
Persistence, right?
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't going to take no for an answer, right?
Yeah, of course not.
So I continued to work on this project on my own. Without anyone knowing. And I came up with a couple of prototypes, and then I came up with a Fox character because it was the Fox affiliate, right?
Yeah.
ABO Fox 42. And I was a little conniving, and I knew that the kids club host took 2 weeks off in the summer to vacation in Europe every summer. And so while she was vacationing in Europe, I decided to represent.
Slowly, a puppet came into the frame, and you're like, well, here we go.
It did.
And they're like, wait, what? Oh, son of a gun.
A little something like this. I said, hey, everybody, well, I'm sorry that Kelly's not here for this, but, my plan for a Fox character was shelved, but I would like to, if we could, revisit it. And I'd like to introduce you to this little character of mine. And ta-da! There came Foxford. And
that's fantastic.
And so Foxford was there, and he's like, hey, everybody, I'm Foxford, and I'm here to be Kelly's sidekick. And, and then he had his whole little spiel about, how he was going to celebrate people's birthdays. And, and when Kelly's busy, I can be on the road. I can do other promotions.
That's gold.
Well, the my promotions department went nuts, and they thought this little guy was really, really cute. They fell in love with him right away, right? And so they whisked me into the owner of the television station. And again, this is Austin, Texas, right? So just as you might imagine, right? He's a big old guy behind his.
He's smoking cigarettes, is that
right? Totally picture him with a cigar.
Scotch.
What is this all about? What are you doing? And I was like, hey, I'm Blackbird, and I want to be, part of the kids club thing. And I had a little song and the little things for him to do and all that. And the owner of the station, I instantly won him over, and he said, I want that character on the air by next week. And so when the host came back from vacation, my boss, the head of the promotions department, had to pull her aside and say, I've got some news for you. You're working with a puppet. So needless to say, she was not at all happy with me. And I remember famously, we were doing, a pre-production or, getting ready for one of our test run shoots. Yeah. And, and I'm down underneath a box, right? And I can't see any cameras or anything. And I'm just sort of sitting there, and I've got the little puppet, and I go, and the little guy turns to her and he goes,
the ratings went through the roof, I'll bet.
The little guy goes, hey, Kelly, could you tell me, am I looking at you? Am I looking at the camera?
Yeah.
She looks at the puppet, not at me.
Yeah.
And says, you're looking right at the camera, you little shit.
You're like, we're live. We're live. Careful.
I got her.
That's great. You know, it's interesting, and I to take a quick left turn, but so we did a lot of stuff with Alf.
Oh yeah,
And
okay.
those, and I did a lot of stuff with like Kermit the Frog and um, Elmo and Abby that are part. My daughter's name is Abby, and when she was turning 4, I was doing stuff with Elmo and Abby. It just happened to be, and I'm not the
Abby from Sesame Street.
Correct. Yeah. And so, but I'm not a person to say anything. And they said, "Oh, do you guys want us to say anything to your people?" And so other people did things, and then they asked me because I was DPing this thing, and I said, "Well, my daughter's name's Abby," and they said, "Oh, when's your birthday?" I said, "Well, it's next week." They're like, "No way. How old is she?" "Oh, I'm 4. She's 4." And so they did this. So my daughter has Elmo and Abby giving her a personal.
Oh, that is fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
like the puppeteering and the stuff that you're doing is it's just really powerful for I think it's so powerful for people, and you might not notice it until later, but like the stuff that you're doing is really powerful. Like it's creating a whimsical utopian society that for children and for adults, that you can kind of lose yourself in it and enjoy it because it's so unique, and there's somebody that's totally committed to it. And so that commitment, the person that's creating it, and it, because when it's not committed to, and so you're in a situation where, this is just kind of something I'm doing. No, you're committed to doing this, and you've done such an amazing job, and you've done it for so long that your commitment to the authenticity of each one of the characters and each aspect of it. I mean, obviously, it's an extension of who you are, which is a beautiful person, and it's an extension, but it's so visible when you're doing something that this is an independent person. So like you were describing on news, she's getting mad at the puppet.
Yeah.
Like, well, but it's because you gave it life, and so it exists, and so that life exists, and it's so. I mean, it's just powerful. It's amazing, and to watch what you do is just incredible. What's your website? Just real quick before I lose the thought process.
Oh yeah, shameless plug. There we go. It is called The Puppet Hideaway, and that is thepuppethideaway.com. I'm also The Puppet Hideaway on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. I'm The Puppet Hideaway on Facebook, The Puppet Hideaway on Instagram, and The Puppet Hideaway on TikTok. So
they're fantastic.
All social media platforms. Well, thanks. What my goal in putting this together and launching this was that I wanted to take my experience from my industry experience from both.
Yeah, so talk about the industry experience and how that kind of translated, because you've done stuff with a lot of major motion pictures and all those kinds of things. And
so what ended up happening was so I was working for the TV station in college, and I applied for an internship with the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, and in the children's programming category, and I was selected out of all the people applying in the United States. So I was thrilled. And so that brought me out to LA, and I interned at NBC. It was part of their Saturday morning block. So I was working on Saved by the Bell, The New Class, and all their other Saturday morning programming. So I did that, and then then once I'm out in LA, I started getting into children's television and all of that, trying to get into the production end of things. But as you know, as you come out, once you get to LA, there's so much opportunity out there, and there's so many different aspects that what you can end up in. And I dabbled in advertising for a little bit, but then I landed a role at Saban Brands or Saban Entertainment, which was part of Fox Kids. And and that was when I got involved in licensing, merchandising, and we were working on the Power Rangers, the new Captain Kangaroo.
Well, this is where we can start to discuss some of the interesting things that happened during our camping. But continue.
Yes,
I don't mean to interrupt.
Go. Oh yeah.
Continue.
That's what you call a teaser, right?
Yeah. Are you seeing emails? I am so tech savvy that for some reason this email just popped up. You're not seeing any of that, are you?
I'm not seeing email. Should I be seeing something? Do I need to be sharing?
No.
Oh, good. No. You're checking your email while we're having a conversation?
No, it just popped up. I have no idea what's going on.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm not seeing it on my
I'm on Tinder and Grindr and everything.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, geez, don't put that out
there. So anyway, I was in the merchandise, consumer products, toys and games, collectibles. So, my job would be, basically, taking a film or TV show and then working with manufacturers, your Hasbros, your Mattels of the world, and creating merchandise based on these properties. For example, Bandai Toys did the Power Ranger toys, so I was working on those. Then that led me to Sony Pictures, and I worked for Sony Pictures forever, kind of like you with E. I was there for a total of over 18 years.
It was E Universal for 22.
Yeah. So you find a good gig, you tend to try to.
Well, here's the thing: is you and I are, and I mean, it's up for anybody's debate about my abilities, but we were very well versed in how television and all those things work.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get involved in your staff, and then you're truly entrenched in what it is that they're creating. And then a pandemic hits.
You end up having a very specialized, weird niche profession. It's difficult to translate into other fields.
And then the pandemic hits, and you're like, well, what's happening now? I thought there was going to be an earthquake. This is ridiculous.
And when you're in the job fairs or you're in these networking groups and they're like, what do you do? And you're like, oh, entertainment licensing. I do, merchandising programs for kids' TV shows. Like,
right. That exactly. So you're kind of like, well, I mean, what do we...
But so anyway, so I guess, so then I was finding myself now at a part of my career where I thought the pandemic was the perfect opportunity, right? We're all trapped inside. I reacquainted with all my little puppet characters, and I decided that I wanted to take everything that I had gained up to that point, working for other people's brands, and wanted to apply that to my own brand and intellectual property. And that's where I came up with the Puppet Hideaway, and I loved what you said. Actually, you said it best. I should have been writing it down. But I did want to create a community, a safe place where people could share, the fact that, they like toys or, games, collectibles, whatever it is.
Because everybody does.
And to be free of judgment of whatever it is they like. And also, one of the things that I came across too was that I think growing up, being, like I said, a fish out of water, being the American in England and then considered the Brit in the US and that, those feelings of being an outsider and whatever. And I feel like today, that is more pervasive than ever because, good grief, the world of the internet is just so negative and hard on people and everybody. There's so many haters out there. And I was shocked when I started putting content out and doing little puppet things and stuff. The responses I were getting were not necessarily just positive. They were, we love, the wholesomeness. We love the spirit behind it. How do you deal with hate? I mean, people were asking me for advice on, overcoming hatred and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And
I've heard, it's interesting you say that because recently, people say 50-50. If you have 50% that like you and 50% that don't, that 50% that doesn't like you helps the 50% that does because they're watching.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, fine. I don't care that you don't care. Give me shit. I don't care that you're against what it is I'm trying to accomplish here, because both I mean, not to put it in an algorithm aspect, but both they feed each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's with just in the comments or whatever, they're having a conflict, and you're not even a part of it, and I don't care. I mean, you guys fight about me with each other, that's fine. It's cool with me. But in when you're starting to develop something, the negative comments are kind of what you focus on. You're like, oh, well, this person.
Well, yeah, and how often do we react against things that we see within ourselves? And things that
yeah, exactly. Well, and that's true. That's a very good.
I guess we got a little heavy and philosophical there.
No, but it's good. That's important because people are going through that, and they it does exist, and so exactly. So you'll respond to something, and then you'll see in your response maybe a day or two later, and you're like, oh, that was about me.
Yeah.
It wasn't about that person. I like that person, and yeah, crud. Hey, man, sorry. Or whatever, however it manifests itself.
So so that's what I was trying to do, is just create a place, and I would say some of my guides or role models have been with children's entertainment. When you think of Sesame Street, right? That's the street where you go, where you're accepted, and everyone's different. Or whether it's Fraggle Rock or Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood or Pee-wee's Playhouse, it's these places you go, and that made me think a little bit. I know we wanted to chat a little bit about our camping trips and like how magical that was to get up to the Kern River and to cut away from everything, where we could be ourselves.
Well, here, Antoine, you might need to make a quick edit here. Yeah, she fixed it.
Oh,
but you never saw it.
She waved her magic wand and did it. No, I never saw it. It never came up on my screen.
Sorry, I was distracted because.
Okay.
And it's no big deal. It was like school emails and stuff, and you're like, oh, nobody wants to watch any of this shit. I mean, come on, it's bad enough we have to deal with it to begin with.
So we were talking about escaping to wonderful places like the Puppet Hideaway.
Yes.
On all social media platforms and thepuppethideaway.com. And I was relating that to our secret hideaway getaway.
Oh,
this is how we got to know each other.
Well, here, so there's.
That was a segue, I believe.
Yes, exactly. It's a full transition Tuesday. So the transition is Eric and I we met years and years and years ago and became friends very quickly. But part of that friendship culminated in us going camping and being in there's a place called Kern River, and now it's kind of devolved, so it's hard to get there, and they had to put all these things in place in order for you not to be able to kind of camp where we camped. But we would just
we didn't really camp.
we did.
We just sort of went off onto we were pretty hardcore.
Well, we
weren't in a proper campsite. We didn't have bathrooms. We were down by the river. We were roughing it.
Yeah, that's what camping is.
Yeah,
we had the Shaughnessy, and you're like, oh, I guess that's a thing. And there was a.
Now, is anyone going to understand what that is? Do we need to explain? That is a folding chair with a toilet seat attached to it with a hole, so that you can sit while pooping in the grass and not squatting. Yes. That's how fancy we were. We were sitters, not squatters.
However, it was fancy because you come back and you had what do they call it? One of the it's not a chandelier. It's the what was it?
Disco ball.
The disco ball.
We had the disco ball going up overhead. It was some fancy stuff. And now,
but we'd fish all day though, and so we'd get trout. And we would stuff the trout that we caught with bacon, and that would be dinner. And then, like on the second day, we're like, let's just walk down to the steakhouse.
Okay, so there we go. We were doing our roughing it stories, and then you mentioned, but there was a steakhouse, half a mile down the road. Which, all right, are you ready for this? I brought props. So look at this.
Hey,
the McNally's,
yeah, of course.
Pint glass.
Yeah, perfect.
Which I'm not sure is there anymore. I believe that is gone. I think.
I don't know. Like as life obviously evolves, those types of things. But the area that we would camp, we'd have a friend that would go down earlier than us and try to make sure that we got that. And then
by the river.
Exactly. And as it became more popular, that was harder and harder to do. And then every once in a while you'd have a park ranger just kind of walk into your space, and you're like,
and then we always had to have our little rules down, and we knew.
Well, we had our badges on that said, "Oh, I paid for my."
Yes,
we're good.
We knew all our little fire codes and whatnot. So, and then the other thing is, you mentioned about the disco ball that we had going on overhead. Do you also remember our friend Bill used to always bring the Chucky doll that we would string up?
Yes.
In the tree to ward off the evil spirits, and talking about people like not passing judgment.
Yeah.
But I remember like packing a car so full and thinking, okay, we can't get everything in there. Something's got to go, but it's not going to be the Chucky doll. It's
no.
Now I got something good for you. Okay, so pandemic. I'm sure you're sharing pandemic stories. We all went maybe a little during the pandemic.
Oh, of course.
Well, that Chucky was there to protect us, right? He warded off the evil spirits, and he kept bad things away from us while we were camping, right? So while I'm up here, worried about catching COVID and panicking and all the rest, I ordered online, and I got not Chucky, but the bride of Chucky.
That's a better one.
A little scarier, right?
Yeah.
And now I'm going to ask you another question. Are you ready? Can you imagine anything scarier than this bride of Chucky? And
hanging from a tree that's next to a disco ball.
Two twin brides of Chucky.
Exactly.
And this is when you go, what happened to you in the pandemic? Well, I ordered the bride of Chucky by mistake, and then decided that I really needed to get the Chucky to go with it. And then somehow ordered a second bride of Chucky. And when the second one arrived, I was like, well, I guess it was meant to be. So,
well, they both have cameras in their eyes. So one lives in front of the house and one lives inside. Well, this is a story that I have to tell about one of the very I mean, this goes down in for me as a legendary story. So you remember there's that Alligator Rock. And so everybody's out there and it's people and I cast zero dispersions about any type of person or anything, but you kind of walk into a situation with the people that were already there and you're like, this could get jazzy. And I look back, one of us is wearing a beam with like a little helicopter thing. You're holding a spider because you had just done the Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
Stuff. Yes. And so you're holding a Spider-Man boogie board. This is a group of people that are probably very protective of this space. Everybody's in rainbows and all because they're
we were Hollywood, right? I mean, we had disco balls,
but it's
crazy merch and whatever,
but it's
merchandise,
but it's a wonderful thing. Like it's everybody's being very unique. Fortunately, we had, and I'm not small. I'm 6'2", 6'3", 210 pounds, whatever it is. But then our other friends are bigger, and then we have friends that are smaller. And we walk into this environment, I was like, oh my God, we are about to get our asses kicked. And Sean, who's a friend of ours, he walks right over to the guy with the longest gray beard and starts talking to him. And it kind of cools off everybody around. Like,
yeah. Well, because he's got that Long Island accent. And, and he's like,
and I am treading lightly on all these waters, but we ended up having a wonderful time jumping off those rocks and getting to know everybody, and it was very nice.
I remember the one. There was a large Hispanic Latino family, and the one father
next door,
and he came to us and was like, my son is a good boy, and he's looking around at our disco ball and our Chucky dolls and our Spider-Man merchandise. Like, he didn't know what to make of us. And he was like,
you're like, well, we're not going to come over there. We're not going to come over there and talk to you about your thing. This is kind of what we're playing cards right now.
And wasn't that the same group with a guy? There was the one guy who had too much. He got in an argument with the river because the river took his bottle of Jack. He lost the bottle.
That part I don't remember.
Oh, and the bottle goes floating down the river, and he's yelling at the river, "Bring me back! Give me my bottle back!" Blah, blah, blah. And he was blaming the river for taking his booze from him. And
you're like, how about you jump in after it? Because there were times because we would get in rafts. And we would just raft down to the bridge and then get out at the bridge and all those kind of things. But then there were times that the water was so high because we would just jump in there in the morning and it's freezing cold. But the little spot that we had was, it was kind of like having a little cold pool. But then when the water was really rushing, I mean they had full on rafters, big rafting devices, and but we would kind of lazily go down with a cooler. And all right, what do
you ever do the midnight tubing when we would go
in
the dark with our
not only did we do that, not only did we do it, we were concerned about hitting our heads because we were
just big rocks and things, and you can't really see them. All you've got is a little flashlight as you're going down the road.
And you're never pointing it where it needs to be. No. I mean, the only reason you're in there is because you probably had a pop or two. You're like, oh, this could go many different ways.
And the other thing too, that just to add to the drama, the danger factor, was the fact that up there in Carnville there was no signals or anything, so we had no cell phone coverage. I mean, that was part of the beauty of it, as you recall. There was that one little there was a little convenience store kind of thing, a little shack. And that was like the end of your cell phone. So any call you had to make, it had to be done by that last little checkpoint. And then it was like 2 miles or, whatever in.
And all the snakes and all the mountain lions, they knew that. And so they went beyond that.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this is where we can go.
I was always thinking to myself afterwards, you sort of go, oh my gosh, if anything happened to us on one of those trips,
we would have been screwed.
Would have been a little tricky. If one of us had floated down the river and didn't come back up again,
I think the way that our space was lit, even, I mean, it was a flashlight pointed at a disco ball. We decided to makeshift in order to get something. I think it kept everything away. They're like, we'll go to the next one. These guys are on board. It
was really good times.
It was great.
And it was, I think it was such an interesting group that we had too, because I think a lot of LA people, I don't know, you get a lot of campers and stuff. I remember when I would talk about camp trips and stuff, people would just question like, what? Like, you grab a sleeping bag and you go.
Yeah. When our friend Bill, he had like this World War II era tent. And but what was endearing about it is it took forever. Because now you can just essentially open the bag and it just opens and pops up. And they're easy.
We would all have our tents. Yeah, we would all be set, ready to go, and off on our adventures. And he's
got this. He's working with canvas and stuff. I'm like, look, man, I'd help you, but it's so much easier than what you're dealing with. And we love Bill. Bill's a very, very close friend. And I've known
guy.
Decades and a great guy. But there are times you're like, Bill, what are you doing, man? But his parents would come out with us. And we spent a lot of time playing cards. And so we would sit and play Shanghai Rummy and things like that. And which is not an easy game to play. It's one of those games where you know it, but it's in Rolodex and it's so far back that you have to say, okay, give me a quick synopsis.
Right.
Okay, all right, here we go. Let's play.
I also felt like, to me, that one of the things that makes camping or those trips so memorable and fun was the fact that we all came from somewhat different backgrounds and jobs and whatever. But boy, when you're out camping, all that
it disappears.
Is back and somewhere else, right? Because all of a sudden you're just you, and you're just you and a tent, and you got none of your, all of the facades and the trapping,
or the baggage, and all that stuff goes away.
And you're just out there in a river trying to catch a fish, trying to
exactly.
Trying to win at cards, and good time.
Yeah, no, it was I miss it so much. And what's funny is there another story, but for us it was I think we were at Sean's for Bill's maybe 40th, maybe 10 years ago, 45th.
Could be.
And you'd put together this beautiful, like a slideshow to kind of play in the background as we were celebrating him.
Oh, yes.
And every once in a while, I'd show up on the screen, and you're like, oh, hey. I'm like, wait. No, that's me. Oh, yeah. Come on, man. I spent years with you. And it was cute. I did, it was a very funny thing.
To see somebody out of context when I would see.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. I'm shirtless in the photos on the screen, and you guys are like, wow, that's pretty attractive. I'm like, I'm standing right here. Oh, well, you're not anymore. What did you do?
Oh, I don't remember that. I don't know.
You made me snort.
Pleading the fifth. Good time. So,
but
anyway,
it was a lot of fun.
That that's sort of what I'm going for, is trying to, find, an opportunity for people in this crazy social media world and whatever, to just sort of get away from whatever's bothering them and to, find a place, kind of like, I guess you're doing here with your show, getting people to,
delve
into your world. Huh?
Yeah, well, kind of. I mean, it's
share your joy, your thoughts.
Yeah, the name of it kind of gives it away.
Something to do.
It's something to do. So if you're listening to it, I hope that we give you something. And so at some point I actually bring up like little snippets of things that I heard during the week.
Mm-hmm.
And
oh yeah,
man, this isn't topical.
Or to make sure that the show's dated if you're watching this a year from now.
Well, no, it's not even that. There's a group of people that I have conversations with, and I really value them. And I value their stories and things. However, every once in a while you'll get a story and sorry, I'm looking through some of my notes here, and I have a lot, which doesn't make.
It's a very topical, relevant story that you don't necessarily remember.
But it's not. Like...
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be giving you a hard time on your show.
No, for sure, I don't mind. Of course. But so imagine you're sitting there and you're having. Because I don't allow myself a lot of social media time. Like I don't get into all that kind of thing. But there's this site that has they're a sponsor. We'll get to at the end of it, which is a running joke because we have no sponsors. Nobody gets a show. But there's somebody I was talking to on this site, and they every once in a while I get into a conversation and I'm like, wait, what? Because you kind of get flooded with information about something that seems, I mean, it's innocuous to them, but you said, wait, what did you just, what did you just say?
And what group is this we were referring to?
Well, it's our
fans in your show following this because
it's called well, no, yeah, it's the name of the app is Clapper, okay. And what you can do on that, which is
potential sponsor.
Yeah, well, and that's where I'm getting all my views. I've got all these views and wonderful people that create content and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, exactly. I've had to get tested 3 times. I didn't know what was. So anyway, so I'm having a conversation with this wonderful woman who's a friend on there. Her name's Crystal, and she very calmly describes how there's a friend of hers that she goes to their house, and what that person's whatever, because everybody's got depression and anxiety and all those things, and that you understand. She's like, yeah, he took out all of his toilets. I was like, okay, wait, what? He's like, yeah. So what he does is he hands out diapers when you walk in.
Oh.
I was like, okay.
Wow.
What did I walk into?
Yeah, this sounds like quite a group.
Yeah. Well,
it's a diaper party.
Well, no, it's not even that. Like I mean, there's all these different people and things, but this happened to be the person name. I was like, okay, let me wrap my head around what you're talking about here. The
toilets were bringing him anxiety. He was.
First of all, you're telling me that you really breezed over a lot of details here. Me asking you to take your shoes off is one thing, but if I'm handing you a diaper, why? Or is my
Because
name on it?
Have been pulled out. I mean, I guess it makes sense.
Exactly.
Why are you handing me a diaper? Because they removed the toilets. They were causing him to have anxiety.
Okay, I think I've made a horrible mistake by coming over to your house. But it's true. Like, so he would wear one, and then he's like, "Wow, we don't have any toilets, so here's a diaper." Like, so what do you? I got dressed for dinner. Where do I put this diaper? I mean, I got skinny jeans. It's gonna show the diaper. And they make noise. Wait, what am I doing? Why am I even having this conversation with somebody?
I would think that would be a night to remember, for sure.
Yeah. So, what's going on with you? I'm not finished yet.
Yeah.
You're not finished what? Yet. Oh, God. Come on. At least walk into the place that used to have a toilet.
Just give me a minute.
Yeah. Oh yeah, what is that? That's Steve Martin in Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Can I go to the bathroom? Yes. I probably ruined it, but you know.
So this is what we expect from a clapper party.
No, well, no. I maybe have 1,000 people that follow me on there, and it's so interesting. There's people that have OnlyFans accounts, and so they use that as kind of launching off because they all got kicked out of TikTok, and so they'll come over there, and so it's a very interesting group of people. So now within that interesting group, and this is the theme now for the show. There's a woman who's extremely talented, and she makes artwork, and so I commissioned a piece of art from her, and it's beautiful. And as an artist myself, and the things that I do artistically, sometimes not everybody understands, but this is what she made me, and it's becoming a theme, but it's sitting here on my desk.
No. We like the things we like. No judgment. We are judgment free.
Exactly right. So I love it.
What is that? It's art. I understand it's art.
Well, in the last episode, I talked about it's a kind of a Rorschach test.
Yeah.
You decide because it's coming out of a oyster shell.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's latex, and she made it just for me.
Wow.
And I like it a lot. And I'm not qualifying it by saying that. I really do. I mean, when you get something that's that interesting.
Is that something you would display in your bathroom that doesn't have a toilet?
Yeah. Right. No, but some of the stuff, because it's all kind of Beetlejuice based, but some of them are like $5,000. Like, she sells stuff for like $5,000.
Well, can you really put a price on that? I mean, that is.
You're gonna make me snot. Can you put a price? And she almost makes it into every episode. And I want to be completely clear that I love this. And I think, honestly, there's so much energy. I like the way you
hold it like it's a brandy snifter or something. Like you could just be having a discussion and just. Mm-hmm.
But the amount of energy that went into it, and I'm not kidding. Given I make indoor decorative birdhouses for the love of Pete, and they go from real money.
That's fantastic.
So, like these types of things, I saw it and I said, "Hi, have to have one of those.
This is my life is not complete unless.
Oh, she signed the bottom. It's a signed
autograph. Mm-hmm. Wow.
So, her name
have a name? Is it Oyster and?
Well, her name's Lil Cersei, and she's on Clapper, and she's extremely talented, and she does a lot of costume stuff, and it's one of those situations where you kind of walk down this path and you're like, I gotta have that.
Nice.
How do I get that here? Because that's fantastic.
So. Well, that's awesome. Well, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Right?
Finding of course,
that you like, and not worrying if somebody goes, "What the hell is that?" You just go, "Well, you obviously don't get it." Do you?
Well, or you don't get art. Like art is obviously totally subjective, and you. I mean, you're.
Is this weird? I don't think so. I think it's adorable.
That's what I mean. And so things like that.
You feel safe and secure.
But exactly, and the is like witticism, is that the right way to? Is that the right word? Whereas you're holding on to something that's very valuable inside of you that allows you to hold on to, the aspects of you when you were younger, and you're like, I don't need to let that go. I want, not only do I not want to let it go, I want to feed that because it's important to me. Yeah. Yes, I've got gray hair and I've got stuff, but I mean, why take that from me? It makes me happy.
And I think what you've tapped on there is the key to so much of why what people like so often is something that triggers those feelings from childhood that they give you those feelings of joy and security and just unbridled whatever, because as a kid you were allowed to hopefully just dig whatever you were into and explore it and love it. And
mine was like trains and things. So like when Christmas comes around, I have a very wonderful train that I put around, and every once in a while you'll see your 75-year-old father laying down just watching it go by.
Oh yeah.
Like oh, it's beautiful. You're like, embrace it.
Well, that was Walt Disney's whole thing was trains, right? So if anyone gives you a hard time about trains, you go, well, was Walt Disney,
Yeah, seriously.
I don't think so.
But it's stuff like that just brings back something.
Yeah.
That but you have to allow yourself to enjoy it. Like I think there's so many times where you'll be in a situation and you'll see something that brings back your childhood and you'll push it off. Embrace it.
Yes.
Enjoy it.
Yes.
Let that be part of you.
Oh, that's a beautiful, beautiful sentiment, and that's what I'm all about. Yeah,
that's what I mean, and so you're a complete inspiration in that, and the things that you're creating, the stuff that you're doing it gives people of all ages a moment of either introduction to what they're going to like for the rest of their life, or a reintroduction to things that they forgot that they loved.
Nice. Yes. Yeah. And all of it can be found at the Puppet Hideaway.
At the Puppet Hideaway? Yes, exactly. No, seriously.
One more plug.
Yeah. Well, if this is what we're going for, we nailed it.
Great. Yeah,
thank you so much, Eric, for being here and sharing all the stuff that you did and listening to the diaper story. And
I would say it was a pleasure, but I can say it was something to do.
It was something to do. Yeah, exactly.
No, it really was a pleasure. And you haven't changed a bit. You are just as funny and wacky as ever.
I'm doing the best I can.
I love it. You have not gotten boring in your old age. That's for sure. So, good stuff.
I'm 73.
Keep doing what you're doing. You're on to something.
And don't stop doing what you're doing. Everything that you're doing.
Those folks at Clapper are onto something. They figured it out. Yeah.
I'm not kidding. I think you should probably get on there and check it out, because you would be wonderfully accepted. And what's an interesting aspect of it is that they have so you can go on, so you sign up and you just go on and you just hit radio. And then you just talk to people that you've met and just have a conversation. Or you can do a video and you just click it, and it's the way that they've designed it is so unique, because it's not like FaceTime Live or any of the other. Not that I would disparage any of those, because they're wonderful sponsors. Thank you.
Yes.
But you know what I mean? Like, you can just walk in and then have a conversation with your friends. It's really cool.
Wow,
and there's people it's all over the world. So
something to check out for sure.
Yeah.
Something to do.
And yeah, exactly. It's something to do. Clapper. Sponsor this. Just pay me. Brother, thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's been
and I'll touch base with you in a second, just to say how wonderful this was. I really appreciate it.
Great.
Take care.